Brother stole my identity to get a loan, then tries to make me responsible for his debt after it all fell apart. So this is something I never thought I'd be dealing with in a million years, but here we are. I found out a few weeks ago that my brother literally stole my identity to take out a $30,000 loan. And get this, when everything went south and the debt collectors came knocking, he thought it'd be totally cool to make me responsible for it. Yep, you read that right. Let me back up and explain how this all went down. I've always had a pretty solid relationship with my brother Jason. We've had our issues, sure, but nothing that would ever make me think he'd cross a line like this. I'm 27, he's 24, and I've always tried to help him out when he needed it. He's had a rough time finding stable work, and I've been there for him, lending him money here and there, giving him advice on job applications, the usual sibling stuff. Well, a couple months ago, I noticed some weird charges showing up on my credit report. I didn't think much of it at first, because, credit reports can be confusing, right? But then I started getting these random letters from some loan company called Prime Lending, saying that I owed them $30,000. I was like, hold up, what? I called them immediately, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. They told me that a loan had been approved in my name for that exact amount, and that the payments were overdue. My heart dropped. I knew I hadn't taken out any loan, so how could this be possible? I thought maybe it was some kind of fraud or mix-up. The person on the other end of the line was all, "Have you checked your identity recently? It seems like someone used your name to get the loan." I was freaking out, not even knowing what to do next. The idea that someone could just waltz in and take out a loan in my name, ruining my credit and putting me in debt, was beyond scary. But the worst part, I didn't even have to go far to find out who was behind it. It wasn't a stranger. It was Jason. You see, Jason had been living with me off and on for the past few months. He was going through a tough time, broke, no job, just a mess. So I let him stay at my place. He promised he was looking for work and getting his life together, but the whole time I had this nagging feeling that something was off. And I hate to admit it now, but I ignored it. I thought, he's my brother. He wouldn't do anything to hurt me. But turns out I was totally wrong. After I hung up with the loan company, I decided to take a look at my credit report more closely. And there it was, the exact date of the loan application, the address it was sent to, and the weirdest part, Jason's phone number was listed as the contact. I couldn't believe it. I called him immediately, hoping maybe there was a mistake. But when he picked up, his voice sounded way too calm for someone who didn't just use their sibling's identity to take out a loan. I just straight up asked him, "Jason, did you take out a loan in my name?" He was dead silent for a few seconds, and then finally he goes, Yeah, I did. I didn't think you'd mind. I needed the money to fix some stuff." Needed the money? Fix some stuff? I felt like I was going to lose it. I asked him how he even managed to get the loan. He didn't have a steady job, his credit was trashed, and yet somehow he was able to get $30,000 approved under my name. He just shrugged and said, "I used your social security number and some of your old documents I found in the drawer." I was in total shock. I could barely breathe. This wasn't just a small mistake, it was a full-on betrayal. He'd been living under my roof, using my personal information to ruin my credit, and for what? To fix his stuff? I started screaming at him, asking how he could think it was okay to do something like that. But all he kept saying was, "I didn't think it'd be a big deal. It was just a loan and I was going to pay it back." Just a loan? Pay it back? How the hell was he planning on paying back $30,000 when he couldn't even hold down a job? I asked him if he even thought about the consequences. And get this, he literally told me, "You'll figure it out. You've always been the responsible one." The responsible one? What? That was his excuse? He thought it was fine to ruin my financial life because I was responsible? It was at that moment that I realized he wasn't sorry. He wasn't sorry about taking the loan, and he definitely wasn't sorry about using me to cover his own mess. I told him to get out of my house. I couldn't even look at him without feeling sick. But then it got even worse. Like, as if things weren't bad enough already. A couple of days later, Jason called me, sounding all panicked. He said, "Listen, I need you to help me out. I'm behind on the payments. They're threatening to send collectors after me, and if they do, I'll be ruined." I could barely believe what I was hearing. He was asking me to help him, the same person he had stolen from. He said, "I can't pay it back. You know I don't have the money, so you should just take responsibility for it. You're my sister. It's the right thing to do." Take responsibility? I was shaking with anger. I told him there was no way I was taking on his debt. He was the one who messed up. He was the one who took the loan, and now he thought I should fix it? Hell no. But he didn't get it. He kept calling, texting, begging. And it wasn't just that he was asking for money. He was trying to guilt-trip me into taking on the responsibility. He even said, "You're the one who always has your life together. You don't want me to be homeless, do you?" It felt like every time I said no, he hit me with some other emotional blackmail. But there was no way I was going to pay for his mistake. He had stolen my identity and ruined my life, my credit, my reputation. And now he thought I should clean it up? Hell no. I haven't spoken to him since then. I've blocked his number, told my parents what happened, who are equally furious, and I'm dealing with the loan company and trying to fix my credit. But honestly, I'm just so done with him. I don't even know how to process what he did to me. So yeah, this is where I'm at. I can't believe he'd do something like this to me, of all people. To his sister. I just wanted to vent, because I don't know who else would even get it. TLDR, my brother stole my identity to take out a loan for $30,000. When everything fell apart, he tried to make me responsible for the debt. I'm done with him. After all that went down with my brother, I thought things couldn't get any worse. But of course, they did. In fact, everything went from bad to absolute chaos when he started really pushing me to pay the loan back. He'd somehow convinced himself that this wasn't his problem anymore and that it was on me to fix it. When I told him to leave and blocked his number, I honestly thought that was the end of it. I figured if he wasn't living under my roof anymore, I'd at least be able to get some peace and maybe handle the mess he'd made of my finances on my own. But nope, that's not how it worked. Not even close. A couple of days after I'd told him to get lost, I was at work, just trying to get through the day. It was an average Tuesday, nothing special. I had my head down, focused on some email responses, when I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but something told me it might be important, so I picked up. To my absolute horror, it was the loan company again, the one Jason had taken out the loan with. They were pissed. They said that if the payments weren't made within the next week, they'd be forced to escalate the matter and take legal action. I told them that the loan wasn't mine, that someone had stolen my identity, and that I was working on it. But the person on the other end just wasn't having it. They didn't care about my sob story. They didn't care that my brother had used my personal information without my consent. All they cared about was that the loan hadn't been paid, and they needed it cleared, immediately. They told me I was now responsible for the debt, and that if I didn't take care of it, it would go to collections. I couldn't breathe. My mind was spinning. I didn't know what to do. This whole thing felt like it was completely out of my control. I tried to argue, but it was like talking to a brick wall. They didn't care about the details, about who did what. They just wanted their money. I ended up hanging up because, honestly, I couldn't even deal with it at that moment. When I got home, I was fuming. I texted my brother after unblocking him and just started going off. I told him that I wasn't responsible for this, that I didn't even know about the loan until after it had already been taken out. I told him he had to fix it himself. And that I wasn't going to bail him out. But instead of taking any responsibility or even apologizing for the mess he'd created, he doubled down. He sent me this long message that said, "I'm really sorry for what happened, but you have to help me. You don't want your credit ruined over this. I'm just asking for your help. I'm your brother." Like, really? He's trying to play the family card after stealing from me? I almost lost it again reading that. I couldn't believe the audacity. Then he hit me with another low blow. He tried guilt-tripping me by saying, "I don't want to be the reason you lose everything you've worked for. I know you have a good job, but what if this messes everything up for you? You're really going to let your own brother go down like this?" That's when I really lost it. I snapped. I told him that he was the one who messed everything up and that I wasn't going to deal with the consequences of his actions. I also made it very clear that while I was always there for him in the past, I wasn't going to enable him anymore. I don't know if that was a wake-up call for him or not, but all he said back was, "I'll fix it myself. I'm just letting you know this is your fault too." And that was the last straw. I couldn't keep trying to be the bigger person and help him out when he clearly didn't care about the damage he'd done to me. I started looking into what I needed to do legally to protect myself from this nightmare. I contacted a lawyer and got some advice on how to handle identity theft. The lawyer told me that I had to report it to the authorities as a case of fraud and then work with the credit agencies to have the loan removed from my name. I did all that. It was a nightmare. I had to file a police report, call the credit bureaus, and even write letters to the loan company to explain the situation. In the meantime, I was still dealing with Jason's drama. He kept texting, sending messages to my parents, even calling me from a blocked number to beg me to fix the situation. But I was done. I stopped replying. I had enough of his games. What really got under my skin, though, was that my parents, who had been super understanding at first, started pressuring me to help Jason out. They said things like, "He's your brother. Don't you think he needs your support right now? And you know how hard things have been for him. Please just help him get this sorted." And honestly, I could feel the guilt trip starting. They were basically trying to make me feel like I was the bad guy for not helping my brother. But here's the thing. I'm not responsible for his mistakes. I've helped him in the past, and I've tried to be there for him. But this was crossing a line. I told my parents that I wasn't going to help him this time. They could see I was serious, but still, they didn't seem to fully get why I wasn't helping. My dad even said, "Well, you should have noticed something was off sooner." Like, come on. How was I supposed to know he'd go this far to screw me over? As the weeks went by, the situation with the loan company only got worse. The calls kept coming, and my credit started to take a serious hit, but I wasn't about to give up on clearing my name. I had already been working on getting it all straightened out, and despite Jason's constant harassment, I just kept focusing on fixing the mess he'd made. At this point, it's been a few months, and I'm still dealing with the fallout from all of this. I'm hoping things get cleared up soon, but it's been such an emotional roller coaster. My relationship with Jason is completely fractured. I honestly don't think I can ever trust him again. The whole situation has made me question a lot of things, and I'm just exhausted. TLDR. My brother stole my identity to take out a $30,000 loan and then tried to guilt-trip me into paying for it when everything fell apart. I'm done trying to help him, and now I'm fighting to clear my name.